Hi guys, it's Kim, the founder and editor of For Harriet, and it looks like we have something to talk about. Okay, so Caitlyn Jenner made her big debut on the cover of Vanity Fair this week. And of course we have things we need to talk about regarding how we discuss trans and gender non-conforming people, as well as how we understand how they live and move through the world, but I am definitely not the person equipped to do that. So I'm going to stick to my comrade / ally lane and deconstruct some of the more ridiculous objections I've seen to Caitlyn's transition, as well as the harmful things people say about Werk and Janet Mock and CC McDonald. Basically, anybody who has a lived experience that most of the world can't relate to. So listen, I already told y'all I am not debating oppression anymore. I am out of that game. It's not my ministry. But we can get a couple of things clear. No, you can't respectfully disagree with someone's life. And yeah, your opinion can be wrong. So when we're talking about somebody's basic humanity, their right to live freely and move in the world, particularly when it's not hurting anybody, and when they are part of a group that is at risk simply for living, your insistence on voicing your disapproval, your disagreement, your disdain for their life is thinly veiled bigotry. You can be as calm about your distaste as you want to. You can trot out every Bible verse and quote logical argument that you feel is necessary. You're not being respectful. In 2015, the bigotry that we need to be worried about is that which comes from people who believe that their uninformed, regressive viewpoint is moderate or reasonable. I'm not worried about the hate mongers with the hate frothing out of their mouths or spewing vulgarities. I'm worried about the people who claim to be calm and dispassionate. Those are the people who set our legislative agendas. I'm worried about the people who will bypass basic human decency in an attempt to uphold the status quo. When I hear people object to the LGBT community, I see somebody who is worried that the social order that they think is comfortable, that they feel is right, is going to be upended. They're worried that the world they know is crumbling. And in some ways it is. People who have fierce objections to trans people are upset because they're no longer going to hide themselves, that they're no longer going to live in shame or silence. And I get the pushback, right? Because it's uncomfortable to have your entire worldview questioned. I think most of us have been there. But your comfort is not more important than somebody's life. And yeah, we're talking life or death here. I read a survey that said 41% of trans and gender non-conforming people have attempted suicide. I saw another stat that said there's a 1 in 8 chance of being murdered if you're a trans woman of color. I've seen 1 in 2 trans people are sexually assaulted. So trans people living in this world are continually assaulted. They're harassed. They're made to feel inferior at every turn, even by law enforcement. So no, I don't respect your opinion. And it's not brave that you are clinging to an ignorant worldview. Not when it's regressive, not when it's violent, not when it puts people at risk. And you should expect some feedback. You should expect people to question you and push back and call you out. And they're not always going to do it in a way that you think is nice. Everybody has a right to be loud and wrong. And the rest of us have a right to clap back, to correct you. Let's also keep in mind that there are many, many trans women who don't have nearly as many resources as Caitlyn has. We need to keep them lifted. Werk and Janet Mock have both made this point this week. Most of us are afraid to veer out of social expectations because there are very real consequences for doing so. But still, we all have a right to self-determine. And I respect anybody who chooses to exercise that right. In fact, it's revolutionary, particularly if you are a part of a group that is continually under siege. So if Caitlyn is just trying to get free, I'm down with that. I support it because you know what? I'm just trying to get free too. So listen, all oppressions are connected. Sexism, classism, racism, transphobia, homophobia. So if you say that you're pro-black, if you say that you're a feminist, if you're a person of color, and you are actively trying to diminish the rights of trans people, you're working to maintain the systems that oppress you. You're hurting yourself. We gotta come to an understanding on this. I think one of the reasons why trans women get a particular kind of pushback is because there are misogynists, dedicated misogynists, who just can't fathom that there are people in this world who don't view being a woman as a step down. Like, that makes them angry. Sorry, girl. We're awesome. Everybody has a right to be loud and wrong, and we are going to clap back strong. I did not mean to.